Jay was an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He lived alone in a small apartment, worked from home, and kept to himself. Every morning, he made tea, fed the street cat near his window, and scrolled through boring emails. But one Tuesday morning, something strange happened. Something that changed everything. Jay heard a knock at the door. He opened it and found a box. There was no delivery man, no truck sound, and no label on the box. It was just sitting there, as if it had appeared out of thin air. The box was medium-sized, wrapped in a black cloth with strange glowing lines on it. Jay looked around, confused. No one was in sight. He reached down and touched the box. It vibrated. "What the?" Jay whispered, pulling his hand back. Suddenly, the box made a sound, a deep growl. Low and animal-like. Jay's heart jumped. Then it barked. Yes, barked, like a dog. But the voice was metallic and echoed weirdly. Jay stared at the box like it had grown legs. He had no idea what to do. Should he open it? Throw it away? Call someone? His curiosity won. He carefully pulled the cloth off the box and opened the top flap. Inside, glowing softly, was a small creature. It looked like a puppy, sort of. The creature had blue fur, large yellow eyes, and 2 extra ears on its head. Its nose glowed slightly, and a metal collar rested around its neck. Jay gasped and stepped back. The creature looked up at him and spoke. "You should prepare, human. We're having puppies," it said calmly. Jay blinked. "What?" he said. The creature blinked back, then repeated the same sentence. "You should prepare, human. We're having puppies." Jay laughed nervously. "Okay, I must be dreaming," he said. "You're a talking dog? And we're what? Having what now?" The creature tried to sit up, but its small body wobbled and fell back. Its collar flashed red 3 times, then stopped. "I don't have time to explain," the creature whispered. "They are already watching." Jay looked around. There was nothing in the room except the creature and him, but something felt wrong. The air seemed heavy, his skin prickled, and the lights flickered. "What are you?" Jay asked, kneeling beside the box. "My name is Nixa. I'm from the Karn species. And I chose you," the creature said. "Your kindness matched our survival code." "Survival code?" Jay repeated. "Wait, you said we're having puppies?" Nixa nodded slowly. "I am carrying the last Karn embryos," she said. "But they need a human bond to survive. Your DNA was accepted during transmission." Jay fell back, shocked. "What do you mean, DNA? I didn't sign up for this," he said loudly. Nixa closed her eyes, tired. "There is no time," she whispered. "If we fail, they will find Earth too." Just then, a sudden sound came from the window, a mechanical humming, like tiny wings flapping. Jay rushed to the window and saw a small floating drone scanning the building. It had red lights and alien markings. "It found us," Nixa said weakly. "You must protect the pups." "The what?" Jay shouted, but Nixa didn't answer. Her collar glowed brighter, now flashing faster. A small hologram appeared from the collar, showing a map of stars, and a warning in red text that Jay couldn't read. Then the image zoomed into Earth and a red circle started flashing over Jay's building. Panic rose inside him. This wasn't a prank or a dream. Whatever this creature was, it brought something dangerous with it. And now Jay was stuck in the middle of it. He looked at Nixa, her breathing slow, her body glowing faintly. Somehow she had trusted him, chosen him, and outside, whatever sent that drone might already be on the way. Jay locked the door, grabbed the box, and whispered, "Okay, alien talking dog, I don't know what's going on, but I guess I'm in." From behind him, Nixa whispered again, "Good choice, human. The future of both our species begins now." And then, the collar let out one final beep. The lights went out, and everything went silent. The power was out. The room was cold and dark. Jay sat on the floor with the glowing creature curled up in the box beside him. His heart still pounded from what had just happened. A talking alien dog, strange drones, and a warning about puppies that could change everything. It made no sense. And Yet it was all very real. Then, suddenly the lights flickered back on. Jay looked up, confused. The room was still. But something had changed. The air felt electric, as if invisible eyes were watching. Nixa stirred, her eyes opening slowly. She looked weaker than before. But her voice was clear. "You've been chosen, human." Jay blinked. "Okay," he said. "That's the second time you've said something like that. Why me? What does it even mean?" Nixa didn't answer right away. Instead, her collar projected a soft blue light into the room. It formed an image in midair, a memory. Jay saw a flash of stars. A large planet with silver trees and 3 moons. Strange creatures, some beautiful, some terrifying. Then explosions, burning skies, the Karn people running. A monstrous shadow covered the world like a storm. The voice of Nixa spoke over the vision. "We were the protectors once," she said. "But they came the collectors. They hunt species with potential. They don't kill fast. They erase slowly." Jay watched in shock. He saw Karn pups, small, glowing beings being pulled into dark machines. Then the vision ended. "I escaped with the last embryos," Nixa said softly. "But they are weak without bonding. They need more than alien DNA. They need human empathy. They need you." Jay sat silently. Part of him wanted to laugh or run away. But another part, the part that saw those eyes, those destroyed worlds, understood the weight of it. "So," he said slowly, "you're telling me I'm now some kind of alien parent?" Nixa nodded. "More than that," she said. "You are now part of the Karn cycle. You responded to the call, even without hearing it." Jay frowned. "What call?" "I didn't hear anything." Nixa looked at him gently. "When you rescued the dying bird last week, when you fed the stray cat every morning, when you cried during that sad movie Alone, your heart responded. Your actions signaled the frequency." Jay looked stunned. "You were watching me?" "No," Nixa said. "The universe was." He stood up, pacing the room. "This is insane," he muttered. "I'm not special. I just do stuff, normal stuff. But no one else did," Nixa said quietly. "That made you different." Jay didn't know what to say. He felt scared, confused, and strangely proud. Then a loud crash came from the kitchen. Jay rushed in. His window had shattered. A small metal orb rolled inside and blinked red. Nixa's eyes widened. Mine," she said. "They're here." The orb exploded in a flash of blue light. Everything electronic in the room died. Instantly his phone, the lights, the collar's hologram. Jay grabbed Nixa and ran. Down the stairs, out into the alley. The streets were empty, but the sky was not. Above, 3 sleek silver drones hovered in perfect silence, scanning everything. Nixa spoke quickly. "We must get to the echo point, a place where the signal is blocked. Only then can I fully awaken the embryos." Jay nodded, holding her tight. "Where is it?" "North," she whispered. "In the forest, near the place you call Stone Hill." Jay didn't waste time. He ran, dodging shadows and flying machines. The city felt alien now. Every streetlight, every camera, every sound seemed dangerous. As they crossed an old bridge, Nixa spoke again. "Once we reach Echo Point, I will show you their true forms." Jay looked down at her. "The puppies?" Nixa smiled weakly. "Yes, but not as you imagine. They are minds, souls, not just bodies. One of them has already started linking with you." Jay felt a sudden warmth in his chest, like a whisper in his mind. Not words, just emotion, curiosity, hope, a strange feeling of trust. "They can feel me?" he asked. "Yes," Nixa said. "And soon you will feel them all." Behind them, the sky turned red. The collectors had found their trail, but Jay didn't stop running. He wasn't sure who he was anymore. But one thing was clear, he was no longer alone. Jay ran through the forest like a man chased by ghosts. The trees were tall and still, but the sky above glowed with red lights. Strange shadows moved in the clouds, circling slowly like birds of prey. But these weren't birds, and they weren't. From Earth, Nixa lay weak in his arms, glowing faintly. Her breathing was slow, but steady. every now and then. Her eyes opened. "Keep moving," she whispered. "They're getting closer." Jay didn't stop. His legs burned, his mind raced, and the weight of everything hit him like a storm. Less than a day ago, he was sipping tea and watching cat videos. Now, he was carrying a pregnant alien dog and running from creatures that wanted to erase humanity. He reached a clearing. In the middle stood a pile of stone, an old ruin from forgotten times. Nixa lifted her head slightly. "This is it." Echo Point. Jay laid her down gently on the mossy ground. "What now?" he asked, breathing hard. "Wait," she said. "Let them speak to you." Jay frowned, confused, but then he felt it something warm inside his chest, a soft thumping. Not his own heartbeat, then another and another. He looked at Nixa in shock. "I can feel them," he whispered. The puppies?" Nixa smiled slowly. "Yes, they are more than children. They are echoes of what we were, and what you might become." Suddenly, the air changed. A high-pitched sound rang through the sky. Jay covered his ears. It felt like it was drilling into his bones. Nixa's eyes widened. "They found us," she said. "The collectors, from the sky." A black ship dropped through the clouds. It looked like a stingray made of glass and fire. Silent, cold, deadly, Jay stepped back, heart pounding. A ramp opened, and something stepped out, tall, silver-skinned, with no face, just a smooth mask and glowing red eyes. Its fingers were long, and its voice echoed inside Jay's head without moving its mouth. "Return the seed vessel," it said, "or your world will burn." Jay stared in horror. "You're in my head," he whispered. "We are in all heads," the creature replied. "We collect, we consume, we erase." Jay stepped forward, standing between the creature and Nixa. "You're not taking her," he said, his voice shaking. "You are not protector," the collector said. "You are error, mistake, dust." Then something happened. A blinding light burst out of Nixa's collar. The forest trembled. Birds flew into the sky. And the collector stepped back, shielding its face. Nixa rose slowly, glowing fully now, her voice strong. "You forget," she said. "Humans are not weak. They are unfinished." Jay felt the warmth in his chest again, stronger this time. A voice whispered in his mind, not Nixa's, but softer, younger. "Hello," it said. "I see you. I choose you," Jay gasped. One of the pups had fully linked with him. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a mind, a presence, a being. The collector hissed and raised its hand, forming a weapon from the air. But Jay didn't run. He closed his eyes, and the pup's energy filled him. Suddenly, he moved faster than he ever had, pulling Nixa away as the beam hit the ground. Explosion, fire, dirt flew into the sky. Jay rolled behind a stone, panting, holding Nixa tight. "I think I just dodged a laser," he said, laughing nervously. "You did," Nixa replied. "And it wasn't you alone," the pup's voice returned. "I am not born, but I am awake. I will protect you." Jay stood again, something glowing under his skin now. He faced the collector with new eyes. He wasn't just a man anymore, he was something more. The collector tilted its head, confused. "This should not be possible," it said. "No," Jay said. "But it is." Behind him, the air shimmered. Other drones arrived, floating above. The forest, too many to fight, too strong to outrun. Nixa spoke quickly. "We must leave. The pup has awakened too early. The others must be protected." Jay nodded. He grabbed her, turned, and ran once more, deeper into the woods, as the sky burned red and the ground shook behind him. He knew one thing for sure. This was no longer just about survival. It was about evolution, and the war for Earth had just begun. The forest was no longer a forest. It had become a battlefield. Jay ran through the shadows, breathing fast with Nixa in his arms and fear in his chest. Above him, collector drones floated like metal ghosts, their red eyes scanning the ground like hungry wolves. But Jay wasn't the same man he was yesterday. Something inside him had changed. One of the Karn pups had awakened, and its voice echoed gently inside his mind. I'm here, it whispered. We run together now. NYXA's breathing was shallow. Her blue fur shimmered faintly, flickering like dying stars. She looked up at Jay, eyes full of pain and pride. You're adapting faster than I imagined. She said, You're not just helping the Karn, she added. You're becoming one. Jay didn't answer. He didn't have time to process it. They were being hunted by machines older than Earth's first city, creatures that didn't feel anger or mercy, only hunger for control. He reached the edge of the forest and paused. Before him stretched a field of black grass and stone-abandoned military land. Long ago, humans had trained for war here. Now the war had returned, but not one they were prepared for. Suddenly, a flash of red light passed over Jay's shoulder. He turned and saw a drone locking onto him. Without thinking, he dove forward, rolled, and tossed a stone at the drone. To his surprise, the stone glowed mid-air and shattered the drone on impact. Jay stared at his hand. It was glowing faintly, pulsing with the same light he saw in Nixa's collar. You channeled Karn energy. Nixa whispered weakly. Jay swallowed. That wasn't me, he said. That was the pup, in his mind. The young voice replied softly, No, that was us. Jay ran toward an old bunker ahead. Hidden by vines and thyme, inside, the air smelled of rust and silence. He placed Nixa on a broken table and searched for supplies. Anything to help. He found a dusty medkit, some water, and a flashlight. I need to help you, he said, tearing strips of cloth to clean her wounds. You're helping more than you know, Nixa replied. Then she placed her paw on his chest. You're not just a host anymore, Jay. You are part of the litter's beginning. Jay sat back, confused, overwhelmed. What does that even mean? He asked. Nixa looked into his eyes. It means the pups see you as their anchor, their protector, their voice. You are their link to this world. Jay felt a strange weight settle on him. Not fear, not regret, something heavier. Responsibility, then. A loud thud echoed through the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jay stood, flashlight shaking in his hand. Something was outside the bunker. Something heavy, slow, and not human. He peeked through a cracked wall and saw it. A collector beast twice the size of a man, its body armored with black metal. It had 4 arms, each ending in sharp tools, cutters, claws, drills. Its face had no mouth, just a single red eye that glowed like fire. Jay whispered to Nixa, We have to leave. But Nixa shook her head. You're not ready to fight it yet. I'm not trying to fight, Jay replied. I'm trying to survive. The pup's voice returned. Then let me show you the next step. Jay's vision shifted. For a brief moment, he saw everything in heat and light. The walls around him lit up. The creature's energy pulsed outside. He could feel its heartbeat, its path, its weakness. The pup guided his movements like a second mind. Jay grabbed a metal pipe and slipped through the back of the bunker. He moved silently, quickly, like someone who had trained for years. But this wasn't training. This was instinct, Karn instinct. He climbed the bunker wall, dropped behind the creature, and slammed the glowing pipe into a panel on its back. The creature roared its first sound, a high metallic scream that shook the trees. It turned too late. Jay was already gone, running back to Nixa with the adrenaline of 100 lives. He helped her up. We need to get to high ground, he said. We can't keep hiding. Nixa nodded, her strength slowly returning. The others will start to awaken soon, she said. The first pup is only the beginning. Jay helped her walk toward a nearby hill. As they moved, he looked up at the sky. He saw more collector ships coming, silent and endless like a swarm of nightmares. But for the first time, Jay didn't feel small. He didn't feel helpless. He was running with monsters, but he was no longer afraid of them, because now he was becoming one of them. The sky was no longer blue. Ash floated down like snow, and the clouds glowed with distant fire. Jay stood at the edge of an abandoned railway line. The world around him silent except for the hum of danger. He had no map, no plan, but he knew One thing clearly, he had to protect the heart of the litter. Nixa walked beside him slowly, her strength returning little by little. The pups inside her pulsed with quiet energy. And the first one already linked with Jay was growing fast. Jay could feel its thoughts clearer now, not just emotions, but images, memories, questions. Why me? He asked the pup in his mind, but the answer came from Nixa, because your kind has forgotten who they really are. Jay looked at her, confused. What do you mean? Nixa stopped walking. They had reached a hidden tunnel under the old tracks. She looked at him with glowing eyes, serious and sad. Earth is not just your home, she said. It was once ours too. Jay's heart skipped. You mean the Karn lived here? Nixa nodded. A long time ago, before your species learned fire, the Karn watched this planet. We lived in the deep forests, in the sky caves, and sometimes even in human minds. Jay sat down slowly. His whole life had been built on science, facts, and screens. Now, everything felt like a storybook, but the danger was very real. Nixa continued. Then the collectors came. They saw your world as a perfect nest, warm, wild, and full of growing minds, but the Karn fought them back. We hid our wisdom inside your species, not in machines or weapons, but in feelings. Jay stared at the dirt floor. You hid it in emotions? Yes, Nixa said, in your music, in your stories, in kindness. The human heart is the last place they would ever look. Jay felt the pup stir inside him again. This time, the vision it sent was stronger. He saw a memory, not his own, but ancient. A Karn being like Nixa walking through Earth's forests beside early humans. They weren't enemies. They were partners. Protectors, family. Jay's breath caught. You were our guardians, he said. And now, Nixa said, you must be theirs. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his chest. Jay dropped to his knees, grabbing his shirt. The pup's energy flared inside him. What's happening? He gasped. The second pup is awakening, Nixa said. It has chosen to bond with you as well. The world around him faded. He was somewhere else floating. Weightless, surrounded by stars. He saw a silver thread connecting him to a small, glowing shape. The pup looked like a light with a heartbeat, and it was afraid. Jay reached out with his mind. Not his hand. He didn't speak, he felt. I'm here, he said gently. You're safe. The light came closer, and with it, Jay felt a flood of knowledge, not just from the pup, but from somewhere deeper. The Karn had given him more than DNA. They had passed on memory, instinct, purpose. Jay opened his eyes, breathing hard. Nixa was kneeling beside him. You now carry the heart of the litter, she said. They have all chosen you. He shook his head. I'm not strong enough for this. Nixa leaned closer. But you are, because you don't want power, you want peace. Just then, a voice echoed from the tunnel entrance, slow, cold, familiar. Well, that's disappointing. Jay turned and froze. Standing in the shadows was someone he knew, his childhood friend Malik, but his eyes were glowing red, his skin too smooth, too perfect. Malik? Jay whispered, but the man who looked like Malik only smiled. I've had many names, he said, but to the collectors, I'm called the Gatherer. Jay stood slowly, rage building in his chest. You sold us out? Malik or the Gatherer laughed softly. I didn't sell anything, I evolved, and now, so will the litter. Before Jay could move, the Gatherer raised a device. Nixa growled, stepping in front of Jay. But the device didn't fire, it pulsed, sending out a wave that hit Jay directly. His vision blurred. The pup inside him screamed. Nixa leapt, knocking the device away. But the damage had been done. Jay fell to the ground, trembling. His connection to the pups flickered. Their light inside him dimmed. The Gatherer stepped back into the shadows. You have one day, he said. Surrender the litter, or Earth dies next. Then he vanished. Jay lay on the ground, breath shallow. Nixa cradled him with her paw gently on his chest. You are the heart now, she whispered. And hearts don't give up. Asterisk. The sky lit up with fire. But this time, it wasn't from war, it was from the truth. across cities, towns, and quiet villages. People looked up as something strange flickered in the clouds. A symbol, ancient and glowing, appeared like a burning thread in the atmosphere. In Jay's trembling hands, Nix's collar glowed bright once more. She had activated the memory pulse, the last hope. It's time to show them. She whispered, show Earth what was hidden from them. Jay stood at the top of Stone Hill, weak but steady. The wind howled around him as the collar's hologram reached full power. The sky split, and across every screen, every phone, every satellite, the message was broadcast. Humans watched in silence as the images appeared, a vision of the past, of the Karn walking alongside early humans, of collectors attacking Earth thousands of years ago, of the Karn sacrificing themselves to protect this fragile planet. And then, the vision changed. It showed Jay, holding Nixa, carrying the unborn pups. It showed his courage, his escape, his link to something greater than himself. The world gasped. Governments scrambled, scientists froze, and regular people simply stared. For the first time in history, all of Earth watched the same truth unfold. Together, Nixa looked up at Jay, her voice quiet but steady. You've awakened the memory. Now they must choose, fight beside us or be forgotten. Across the world, chaos and hope spread at the same time. Some humans called it a trick, a fake alien lie. Others cried in wonder, seeing images that matched ancient cave paintings and lost legends. But a few believed, and they acted. A small group of former soldiers, scientists, and wanderers found Jay in the hills. They had followed the energy, the signal, the truth. One of them, an old radio tech named Raffi, spoke first. We saw it, he said. We felt it. You're not alone anymore. Jay looked at them, people of different countries, backgrounds, beliefs, and yet, here they were, standing beside him in silence. The collectors will come, Jay said. Soon. Then let them, Raffi replied. We're not afraid. Nixa stepped forward. Not all of you will survive, she said honestly, but some of you will become more than human. Some of you already are. Raffi nodded slowly. What do we call ourselves? He asked. Nixa tilted her head. You are now the pack. Jay smiled weakly. It sounded right. It felt right. Then the ground shook. The sky dimmed. A collector warship descended through the clouds like a silent predator. Jay stepped forward, glowing faintly. Two of the pups inside Nixa had now fully linked with him. He could feel their strength in his muscles, their thoughts in his breath. He was no longer just a man, he was a beacon. They're testing us, Nixa said. A warning. Strike, Jay turned to the others. This is not a war for land or money. This is a war for memory. For species, for tomorrow. The pack raised their weapons, makeshift and alien alike. But Jay raised only his hand. A beam of light shot from his palm and struck the incoming drone with perfect aim. It exploded mid-air. Raffi blinked. Did you train for that? Jay shook his head. No, one of the pups did. They all laughed for a moment, small, nervous but real. Then more collector ships entered the sky. This time they were not alone. Ground units appeared silent, walking metal giants with red lights in their chest. Jay turned to Nixa. Is this the final attack? No, she said. This is only the beginning. The collectors have realized something. They know you are more than a threat now. You are a new branch in evolution. The wind picked up again. Jay looked at the distant cities, now full of lights and noise. Earth was no longer asleep. It had been shaken awake. Let them come, he said softly. We're done hiding. And with the howl of distant machines growing louder, Jay raised his hand again. The pack stood behind him, ready to defend a world they had only just begun to understand. The pups inside Nixa stirred as one. For the first time, Earth was no longer a target. It was a voice, a warning, and maybe a home worth fighting for. The sky had turned black, not because of night, but because of the ships. Collector warcraft hovered like giant shadows over every major city. Their red lights blinked slowly, like eyes watching from the dark. Jay stood at the edge of the hill, wind pulling at his jacket, Behind him stood the pack, now hundreds strong. Engineers, soldiers, farmers, kids with homemade armor and fire in their eyes. All of them ready to protect a planet that had finally awakened. Inside the tent nearby, Nixa lay surrounded by a soft glowing light. Her body trembled, her breathing deep and slow. The time had come. The pups were arriving, but these were not normal births. They were not creatures being born. They were ideas living. Glowing minds forming in light and sound. Each one carried a piece of Nixa, a piece of Jay, and a spark of humanity's soul. Jay knelt beside her, his hand glowing with quiet energy. "They're coming," he whispered. "All of them." Nixa opened her eyes and nodded. "Yes, and they are watching you even before they open their eyes." The air shimmered, the ground rumbled. A wave of light burst from Nixa's chest, soft, warm, powerful. Then silence, and then it happened. One by one, 6 glowing orbs rose from her body, floating gently into the air. They hovered above the ground, spinning slowly, each shaped like a small, glowing pup. But they had no solid bodies, not yet. They were light, memory, potential. Jay reached out, and the orbs circled around him. He felt each one touch his mind, brief flashes of emotion and thought. One was curious, one was calm, one burned like fire. They weren't just children, they were seeds of a new species. Then the sky roared. Collector troops landed outside the hill, hundreds of machines marching in formation. The ground shook under their feet. The air buzzed with their signal. The pack stood ready. Jay turned, light rising from his hands like fire. Raffi walked beside him with an old Earth rifle in one hand and Karn energy in the other. "This is it," Raffi said. "We hold or we fall." Jay nodded. "No," he said. "We rise." The first collector mech charged forward, massive and fast. Jay didn't flinch. One of the pups flew forward, merged with his chest, and his arm burst with light. He struck the ground and energy raced across the field like lightning. The mech exploded. Cheers rose behind him. The battle had begun. Humans with Karn weapons. Minds linked to the pups moved like one heartbeat. Some dodged bullets they couldn't see. Some healed others with only a touch. They were changing in real time, not just surviving the fight, evolving through it. Jay fought with the strength of 10 men, but he didn't fight alone. The pups fought through him, whispering, guiding, trusting. He was no longer just their protector. He was their bridge. Nixa rose slowly from the tent, her body weak but her eyes shining. She watched her children bring balance to chaos. She watched humans and Karn fighting side by side, not with hate, but with harmony, and the collectors, for the first time in their long history, stepped back, not in fear but confusion. They had never seen a species change during a war. They had never seen weakness turn into wonder. Jay faced the final ship, a massive vessel aiming a planet killer beam at the Earth. He walked forward, his body glowing with all 6 pups, and he spoke not with words, but with thought. "This world is not for collecting," he said. "It's for growing," and the pups answered with him. Together, they became light. Together, they became voice. Together, they became more than species. They became the new breed. The collector ship paused, then turned, then disappeared. The silence that followed was heavy, not with fear, but with awe. Jay dropped to his knees, the pups gently floating above him. Nixa stood beside him, placing a paw on his shoulder. "They are born," she said. "And they are beautiful." Jay looked at the sky. No more warships, no more signals, just stars, stars waiting to be explored. Stars waiting for the new breed. He smiled, not because it was over, but because something had finally begun.